Hello, my name is Yolanda, and this is Eatin and Sippin Locally. This show is podcast in Austin, Texas. Hello, this is Yolanda, and you're listening to episode 6 of Eatin and Sippin Locally. Welcome back to the show. A month ago, I went over and had dinner with an Austin food blogger by the name of Deana Evans. I started following her because I loved her foodie pictures. And as I continued to follow her, I noticed that she was really focused on gluten-free dishes and gluten-free restaurants right here in Austin. Now, I found that quite interesting because, as you know, I'm in the hospitality business, and I've noticed, I think in the last 5 years, at least 2 out of 6 of my guests always point out to me that they are gluten-free. And in that announcement, they always seem to look for special treatment, a special menu, and definitely special service.
Really?
So, I wanted to find out if gluten-free was just a trend, or should I really take notice when a guest tells me that they're gluten-free? And I also want to find out the difference between celiac disease and someone who is only gluten-free when they go out to eat. You know what I mean. Now, Deana has a real passion for comfort food. But over time, she has discovered that a lot of the food that she enjoyed was making her sick. So with her background as a trained scientist, she did some research and found out that she had celiac disease. And when she went out to eat, she ran into problems with servers and chefs who didn't understand just how important it was that when she ordered food, it was not to be cross-contaminated with foods that could make her sick. That could be a really bad experience. So for that reason, I knew Deana would be a great person to interview. She has done the research, and she has written 3 cookbooks, and she continues to keep her blog, The Weekly Menu, updated with tasty, and my favorite word, easy, gluten-free comfort recipes. So I was so excited when Deana agreed to come onto my show, but I was even more excited when she invited me to dine at her home. Yeah, you know I love to eat. She invited me to have dinner with her and her husband, Brat, and their cute dog named Lizzie. And by the way, Lizzie has her own IG page, and you can find her at Lizzie Dog ATX. I think that is so cute. Deana prepared a delicious comfort meal for us. Do you want to know what was on the menu? I guess I should tell you, but I don't think I will. I think I'll just get started with the interview, and I'll let Chef Deana tell you all about it. Bon appetit.
Brett, will you watch the chicken? I don't know how long it's been in there.
Oh, has it been in there for...
Huh?
It's about 40 minutes now.
Okay. Then it's only at 350.
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
can
okay.
sit. It can sit.
Yeah,
Like
okay
it
for a while.
retains its heat. Yeah.
Yes.
So I throw it in there, just make sure it's done. It will retain its heat.
I love Pure Luck.
Oh, good. Okay,
They
good.
have the best goat cheese.
Good.
So what are we making tonight? I've
Okay.
seen some great, wonderful things on the stove that we need to tell people that Brat,
Yes.
your husband, is also.
He's my sous chef.
Say hello.
Hello. How's it going, people? Good people.
So what are you about to do?
We got some spinach here, some baby spinach. We're just going to saute it in a little bit of olive oil and a little garlic olive oil in there. It's going to be added to the pasta with the Alfredo sauce eventually, but it gives it a really nice, good garlic flavor.
I don't see any oil in your skillet. Did you put the oil
there's oil
on
in there? There's
He
oil.
put it
was?
already.
Yeah, there's a little oil in
Okay.
there. You can barely
just a
see
little,
it. Just a
yeah.
little bit. No, I don't do a ton in there for this.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little. Like I said, this spinach wilts down so much. We're using quite a bit, but it's going to turn into just very little.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we use this garlic olive oil from
Trader
Trader Joe's,
Joe's.
actually. That's really good.
Yeah, it adds it's potent and it adds a nice little bit of flavor. So that's just gonna saute. It doesn't take very long once it gets going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're also boiling water for the pasta.
Okay.
And we've already pre-roasted the chicken breast, but it retains its heat, so it's just going to sit there on the side until we
So what's the name of the pasta? Because you told me it was gluten-free, right? We
Yes.
looked at it before, but we had not turned on the recorder to find out exactly what it is.
Yes, so it's Bio Nature, and it's Italian. And so there's, like I told you about Dr. Fasano, they've known about celiac disease in Italy for quite some time. And so they love their pasta. And so they've developed this delicious, awesome pasta. They also make the tomato sauce that I really like. It's the Bio Nature.
Now, is this something we can get at Wheatville?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And they frequently put it on sale too. So when they put it on sale, we stock up.
Okay.
You see, we have a ton of it in there.
And this is the Bob's,
Yes.
that you were telling us about too, right? That
Okay.
was something that you really enjoy using.
So
Is that oat flour?
It's oat flour.
And that's what you fry chicken you were talking about, right?
Yes. Now, the thing about oats lately is that we found out that they're spraying it with glyphosate. So certain brands have been tested to see how much they're spraying it before they harvest it. And so we haven't had problems with this oat flour, but if you're worried about that, use a different flour. I'll show you. I have a bean blend. If you want to come out here, I'll show you. I'll show you my freezer.
Okay. And we are going to actually go out into the garage, and she has a freezer out here that we're going to go take a look at.
So we have a bunch of flours in here. Ooh. And so I use different flours for different things based on the consistency.
Oh,
Some are thicker and some are finer. And so, and also because of the fiber content. So two of the other flours, I don't see it. Sorghum is also a good one you can use. I often mix this with the oat flour when I'm baking.
Okay.
And then, let's go over
That's a
here.
good baking one, huh?
And then, like when I make muffins and stuff, I like to use the oat flour and the sorghum.
Okay.
And this is the Bob's Red Mill gluten-free all-purpose baking flour. We use this all the time too. So it's usually the oat flour or this. And it's made with garbanzo bean, tapioca, sorghum, fava bean. So it's just got a little bit more fiber. Mm-hmm. But it also is different than the cup for cup one because it doesn't have any added gums like xanthan gum. Studies have been shown that xanthan gum can disrupt your gut bacteria.
Wow. Okay.
And you see a lot of that in gluten-free food. And so it's a good thing to kind of be aware of that and buy guar gum, which is safe. And then buy a flour that doesn't have it in there and use guar gum instead of xanthan gum. So it's crazy. It's like
I've seen that gum, and I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, it's in
but
all the gluten-free stuff.
Yeah. So you're keeping all your flours in the refrigerator. Is that the best way? Because we're always kept ours on the shelf. So is it gluten-free stuff like that is better in the flour?
I don't think someone told me a long time ago that it keeps longer if you put it in the freezer flour, and so I just did it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's fine if you just leave it, I don't think it decays any faster.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so the spinach is start to wilt.
Yes, it is shrunken down quite a bit, and now it should be. I'm gonna pull it off here in just a second and just kind of let it cool before we put it into the pasta sauce. I think Deana's gonna start working on the Alfredo, which is the whole star of the dish.
Yay! Like the star
over there, babe. Yeah, see how much it wilted down?
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is the other thing. So I've learned how to basically make a roux that you can modify to make anything. So, and it just depends on how much of the ghee to flour ratio. So this is going to be a little bit more of a less dense, less thick sauce. Mm-hmm. When I want to make a gravy, I'll just do a 1-to-1 ratio. And so I'll use the same amount of butter as flour, stir in some beef broth, pepper, salt, got a gravy. You can make a cheese sauce based on it. Okay. And so because I'm using this coconut milk out of the can, it's got more fat in it. So the ratio works on this recipe.
Okay. Is this one of the recipes that we can find on your weekly menu?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
I love that.
So if you don't want to use canned coconut milk, You can use like a coconut milk creamer.
Okay.
But it's not as high fat. Mm-hmm. So it's going to take a little bit longer to thicken.
Okay, yeah, I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, so it's just going to take longer, and you can actually add a little bit more flour, and it'll help it too. Okay. So it's just just plain. So this is just the basic Alfredo recipe. We'll get out our beautiful chèvre from Pure Luck. Out of Dripping Springs. Thank you for opening that. Okay, and I've let the ghee, which I said is like clarified butter. I make my own because it's a lot cheaper.
Oh. So how do you make ghee?
So I take 2 things of butter, one organic and one not.
Okay.
And then I just cook it for a long time on very, very low heat, and all the stuff will rise to the top, and some of the other particles will stick to the bottom, and then we just filter it through a cheesecloth into the containers. Oh. Yeah, and so it's cheaper, much cheaper to do it like that. Like if you go look at the shelves, they use it a lot in Indian cooking. So in the international aisle, you'll usually see a thing of ghee, and it's like $12. It's very expensive, so it's cheaper to buy butter and make it yourself.
So is it G-E?
Yeah, Ghee.
Okay.
I think I'm saying it right. I mispronounce everything, so I may be calling it.
No worries, because that's what show notes are for.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 tablespoons of the ghee. And I've let it sit at room temperature so it's easier to scoop out.
Oh, it's still the same consistency of butter.
Right.
It's still creamy.
Right. And I actually got lucky on this batch because I didn't burn it. Sometimes it'll be browner because I've burnt it a little bit. I've let it go too far, but this batch got it. And it tastes like butter.
Let me put a little bit on my finger here while I
can get it off the spoon.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. If you want to taste it.
Oh. Huh. It's got that caramelized kind of taste to it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of my childhood days. My dad used to do a caramelized butter, and then he put it in the freezer, and we used to have like this, tastes like a butter toffee that he used to make, with it. That's what it tastes like.
Yeah, it's almost got like a little, almost like a little bit of the caramel going.
Yeah, I like that. And so you're also using is that the Good Flow?
Yes, the local honey. We love this.
I love that honey. That's a great honey.
Wait. Oh. Sorry. I'm going to tell you another trick. I've got the pasta in my hand. What we usually do is we break it in half.
Still completely sealed in the package.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that way we can just dump it into the water. And it fits.
Oh, I love that little tip. Isn't
that great?
That is a great tip.
Yes.
Because I don't know how many times I open the package and then I start to break it and it goes everywhere.
Exactly.
I like that.
Isn't that fun?
That's a nice tip.
Yeah. And then just put it in there. Yeah, Brett came up with that.
Good.
All right. So now the butter is melting. And I'm going to add my flour, which is just half a tablespoon. Like I said, if you're going to use different... if you want different consistencies, you can just use different amounts of butter to flour. And a little bit of flour. And then I usually use a wooden spoon, and we're going to let it go for a couple minutes just to kind of make a roux.
Okay. In the meantime, we've got our water boiling on the other side of the oven here.
Yeah, and with that pasta, it will stick together pretty bad, so it's a good idea to use one of those like noodle things. And stir it a lot.
Okay. Just keep it separated.
Yeah, because it will stick together in big clumps if you're not
Okay.
doing that. Oh, I don't need to move that. Okay, we're going to keep stirring.
Oh, look at that.
And
I'm going to stop for a second and take a picture because I want you guys to see what's actually going on here.
Okay. And I need to
pause that?
Yeah, give it 2
Yeah,
seconds.
let's cut that off and let's set our stuff up. I really thank you guys for being so great.
Good. Well, I'm glad you came over. You bet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So now I'm about to try this. I'm about to try this great mint
Stir it all
dish.
up. And let me know if you need salt and pepper. Do you like it?
Give me a minute. I gotta eat some more.
Okay. Salt and pepper? You good?
I'm gonna do a little pepper on there.
Pepper would be great.
Yes, pepper.
And we have Parmesan. If you want to hit it with a little Parmesan.
Yes.
Okay. Hit it with a little Parm.
This chicken tastes different.
Does it?
In a good way or bad way?
It's in a good way. I mean, I've never.
It's very clean tasting. The first time we tried it, we could say actually we were like, this tastes a lot better than the normal stuff.
Okay, how does this fancy thing work?
No, you just turn it upside down.
Oh, upside down.
Put that twist above me.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah. This chicken tastes so much better.
Yeah.
Okay, so other chicken you said is just packaged in, is sealed and just it's like wet age, almost like a steak age.
They will before they package it, just to kind of cool it down real quickly, they put it in some really cold like ice water essentially.
Okay.
And so that provides more opportunity for bacteria to get in it, but also somehow I think changes the flavor. Because it tastes different. The air chilled chicken that's just put in like a big cooler and chilled tastes a lot better than which may be a dry age versus like a wet age type steak situation where dry age steaks taste so a lot better. Yeah,
wet age because of the care.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. It's like more
Parmesan.
Oh yes. Oh, the perfect chef.
Yay.
I love it.
Did I get some pepper over here? Yeah. Oh, one of the other things. This is just a random thing because I'm holding the pepper. Is to be careful when you're working with raw chicken to not touch things. Like, don't touch the salt and pepper after you touch the raw chicken. You know, don't touch your cutting the clean cutting board with your hand. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there because that's that cross contamination that people don't understand.
Yeah, or
and it's so important.
Yeah, you touch the chicken, wash your hands before you touch anything else. Yeah, it's so funny. I've seen it's like even on some of the cooking shows because they're being so fast, it's like cringeworthy. You're like no. Or when you watch like Restaurant Impossible, when I think Jim Irvine, am I saying it right?
Now, after that delicious meal with her family, Deana and I grabbed our glass of wine and headed towards the living room. I want to sit down with her and talk more about her Instagram, because that's how I met her, and her food blog called The Weekly Menu. Who is listening to us now to just kind of pick up your phone and get on Instagram and look up Deana_Evans and tell us about what your bio says when people actually get on Instagram. What does it say? What does your bio say?
Okay, well, what I've got is it says healthy gluten-free food blogger at the weekly menu. And I create clean eating comfort food recipes. And I also like to find awesome places to eat in the ATX. And so this pretty much sums up the last, 8-10 years. My husband and I love comfort food. I mean, before I had to go gluten-free, we ate steaks, we were having like Caesar salad, and we both gained a lot of weight. And then I started having all these digestive problems, all the stuff that made me be like, okay, gluten. So what I try to do is take those comfort food favorites and then modify them so that they're safe for me, so that we change out the items that would contain gluten to recipes that don't, but that's still getting the same fun.
So tell me about your posts. You've got 872 posts on the day that we're speaking about today. And so do you post how many times do you post a week?
Okay, I used to post all the time. And I have slowed down significantly.
Is there a reason why?
Yeah. I noticed that it wasn't bringing any traffic. And it's like I put my IDs out there and then it didn't seem like it was helping anyone. So I was just like, I'd rather do a blog post and then put it on there and focus more on putting those ideas on my blog. Yeah.
So the weekly menu book that you do now, are you educating people more on because I know you have some really great recipes.
Thank you.
On that.
Thank you. Thank you. So it started before I started a blog, before I got on Instagram. I was like, I'm going to write a cookbook that, I'm just going to write it, and that because I was changing all these recipes, and I came into two things I was noticing. I'd find a recipe and I'd change it, and that'd be fine. But then we'd have leftovers for like days because it was made for 4 to 8 people, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, it's just the 2 of us. So I started to cut back the recipes, and I was like, I need a way to keep track of it. And so I would type it up on the computer, and then all of a sudden I had these recipes that were scaled down. And I was like, I'm going to write a cookbook and put all these together. And the other thing that I started to notice is, I'd find all these recipes I liked. And then I'd make them all, and we'd have way too much leftover food, and then I'd have like half a head of cabbage. Or I'd have, a bunch of carrots I haven't used.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And so then I started doing, like, my little analytical brain was like, okay, I'm going to have cabbage. What 2 recipes can I use? So I'd come up with the weekly menus so that we could use for 2 people. And it was also kind of my food journey, like trying to figure out what was going on with me. So going through the journey, like the food journey. Yeah. But still, like I want my husband to enjoy what we're eating. I don't want it just to be chicken and broccoli. Yeah. And chicken and broccoli and cauliflower rice. Yeah.
Your menu actually shows me that I can use this for this dish and this dish and that dish.
And save money.
And save money.
Yeah.
And that's the key,
Well, and especially with the gluten-free diet where things tend to be a little bit more expensive.
Yes.
You want to save money where you can. And not like throw away product. Even like the tomato sauce. Like, I'll take the 3 jars, and then I'll know that I have 2 jars of tomato sauce. So then I plan a dish the next week that I know I'm going to use the tomato sauce, so I can thaw it out and use it, and it's there. I don't have to buy it, but it's like I'm not pouring out the rest of it,
right?
For each recipe. So it's like little bits ways of conserving.
So tell me, who do you think your followers are? You got 1,329 followers. Who do you think they are?
Well, so a lot of them are restaurants. Surprisingly,
like restaurants.
I have. Like it's a fun. It's like local places around here, and I think that just because you post restaurant pictures, that, and then a lot of them are local foodies like you and Dawn and a lot of I belong to the Austin Food Blogger Association Alliance. I think it's the Food Blogger Alliance, and so a lot of those people, and a lot of foodies, and then I do have like people that I know from my life, actual people that I know, and then just I guess people that are gluten free. Yeah. So one of my favorites is Ariel Clementine. I don't know if you've seen her, but she just found out her husband has celiac disease. So we've been communicating. She cooks all the time. She makes like most amazing things, and so she's just now like learning the about how to cook, convert everything to gluten free, and so we're always like, she always makes stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, that bread looks amazing, and so that's fun for me, is to learn from other people, like something a recipe I haven't tried, that's already been converted, and that's safe, and I don't have to do any work, and I can just try it, and it's like, oh my god, yes, and
so you know the importance of commenting on your followers, right?
Yeah, but I'm bad. I don't do it enough.
No.
I know.
You need to...
It helps with doesn't it help with the, like...
It just helps with it, because then they acknowledge that you are a real person.
Okay.
And that you're doing what you say you're doing.
Okay.
And you're paying attention to people who want to have that same.
Okay.
See,
then I'll invest the time in doing that, because I really haven't been.
You need to...
Okay.
So who are you following?
Well...
You got 900 here. Are you talking to all 900?
No. Actually.
I'm not either. I talk to about 100 people out of the people, which is still a lot of people.
It's like, I love this Half-Baked Harvest.
Ew.
Her food isn't gluten-free, but her name is Tegan, I think, and she's super creative.
Is she Austin, or was she
No, I think they live out in I don't know. Her brother was a snowboarder.
A snowboarder.
that won the Olympic gold. Remember
And
his
so
name?
what's this one?
Her name is Half Baked Harvest. She just comes up with some
Half-Baked
really
Harvest.
creative, kind of different things. Mm-hmm. And she usually pops up at this because she's got like 500,000 followers.
Yeah.
So she's her stuff is just adorable, and she's young and she's got this really sweet, positive
Okay,
energy.
I'll have to follow her.
Do you follow hashtags? Because the two that I really like to follow are the hashtag Austin360 Eats and the hashtag Austin360 Cooks.
Yeah.
Kind of like what all,
cooks?
there's a cooks one, and it's like what all the local people are making.
Do you have a hashtag?
I don't. You know, it's funny. I used to use hashtag the weekly menu, but then I stopped posting the menus. I do. I don't. I'm not a very. I did not start out like with the branding mission. You know, so I feel like I'm kind of piecemealing everything together, and I should probably come up with one. And the one I do like is Feed the Gut Bugs.
Ooh.
Which I've used that. It's hashtag Feed the Gut Bugs. I think
I like that.
And that's like coming up with really good recipes to feed your microbiome, like high fiber, you know, really good stuff. That's a really good, because your gut bugs really need fiber in order to make certain molecules that are really beneficial for your health. I just read the book, The Good Gut, and it is so important that you eat fiber to feed the certain bacteria in your gut. They make short chain, I want to say short chain fatty acids. I don't know if that's exactly right, but they make molecules that your body needs. And so it's really important to incorporate prebiotics and probiotics in your diet. So the probiotics are the ones like yogurt and fermented foods that help supplement, but then you have the prebiotics, which actually feed the bacteria, and that's a lot of high fiber stuff. And so I really, I started using that, but I've been so busy with the voting stuff and other stuff. But I like the Feed the Gut Bugs. I think that one's fun because that's, it's the high fiber. It's really good for you. It's supposed to help with weight loss just because you're managing your gut bacteria better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's hashtag
Feed the Gut Bugs.
Okay.
Yeah, and so bugs is a scientific term for bacteria. Like we use it. It's like it's not a scientific term. It's slang for bacteria. So you used to call them bugs. When we worked in the lab. So feed the gut bugs.
I like that.
And so I like that one because that's when I read that book, I was like, holy cow! Like so much more. It's always evolving. Mm-hmm. It's always like okay, we figured out the gluten-free, we figured out the dairy, we figured out the goat's milk. Now we're like, oh my God, I'm not eating enough fiber. Even though you eat lots of vegetables and stuff, it's like lentils. Add more lentils to everything.
Another great source of fiber is pinto beans. And I mention this because Deana has a great ranch-style recipe on her blog, and you can find that link in my show notes. In the meantime, I wanted to learn a little bit more about gut bugs, so I asked her to share a few tips on how to avoid harmful foods and what does clean eating really mean to her. Then I want to dig a little deeper and talk about celiac versus gluten-free and what are some of the problems that occur when she goes out to eat. And when she does go out to eat, what are her favorite restaurants here in Austin? And this is what she said.
Try to pick non-GMO only because it's the pesticides. It's not the technology that bothers me at all. It's the pesticide. Plus, there's other stuff that's now sprayed with pesticides before they harvest it. And so that's what the whole clean eating is for me. It's like trying to reduce the amount of chemicals that may or may not harm us,
Right.
It's like the science isn't there yet.
Yeah.
But I feel better. One of the biggest things for me was BPA.
And what's that?
So it's a bisphenol A, and it's in can linings, and you see a lot of cans now say BPA free. What it is
I've never noticed that.
So it's an endocrine disruptor. It messes with your hormones, and it can leach out into canned things like tomato sauce. And even though we're going to use a can of coconut cream, it's in a BPA-free can, which may or may not have another BPS in there, but a little bit won't hurt. But it's making sure that it's like in plastics, So,
Okay.
like, if you heat up plastic in microwave, it might leach out into you.
Okay. Oh.
That kind of thing.
okay.
And so it's like not using water bottles that are plastic and then leaving them in your car and letting them heat up.
Yes.
Because then it softens it. It's a hardener and it softens the thing and it leaches into the thing. And so that's the clean eating part. Is we try to stay away from things like that that are known to mess with your hormones. And I've honestly seen a difference. Like, we use tomato sauce from jars. And it's like we have a glass jar and it's got, 28 ounces, and I'll separate it into, 1 cup jars and put it in the freezer and just pull it out when I need a cup of it. And I used to have really, really painful periods and really painful cramps, and it would go. Everything has changed since we took out the chemical.
Wow.
I don't have a scientific proof of this, but I 100% believe that those endocrine disruptors mess with our hormones, especially during the cycles. And so that's a lot of, and I don't, I hedge when I talk about stuff because I do have a PhD. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be like, this is scientific fact,
No, but we're talking about what you have learned and what you have grown
and
in.
And it's my personal experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it makes sense to me, and so it's been crazy. And so that's the clean. It's like trying to stay away from the BPA and trying to stay away from different, using plastic like we use a lot of glass.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And not using the non-stick that has the Teflon and that kind of stuff. Like
all those things that
all
we...
the little things.
Little things.
They play such a part in how our food is digested and what gets released into our body, and they're just starting to realize how important all that is. And so I'm a science nerd.
I love it. I love it.
It's my happy place.
It sounds like it is.
Hi there, you're listening to Deana Evans, and you can find me on Instagram as Deana, Deana _Evans, and on Twitter it's DPHGJD. And you're listening to Eatin and Sippin Locally.
I discovered you on Instagram,
Okay.
and I got really intrigued by how you were so into the gluten-free and how important it was, because I really never thought it was that important, and so it really fascinates me. So that's why I start following you and start seeing the things that you do and stuff. So what's so important about what's gluten-free and what really is it?
Okay, so it really started when Dr. Fasano came to America from Italy, and it was like 2010. And it really stems for people mostly with celiac disease. And so celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder, and gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye, and that protein causes damage to your intestines.
So they actually, celiac disease and gluten-free goes hand in hand?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And so there's no cure for celiac disease, so the only way to be healthy and not get sick and not have all this damage is to go on a gluten-free diet. And you can't have any type of gluten or any derivatives of it, and so you really have to manage your diet very carefully. And so he basically came to America. He had done this research in Italy. Then he came to America, and he started spreading the word. Doctors became aware of it, and it started getting diagnosed. So you see a lot of people that may have been diagnosed a long time ago, but 2010 is kind of when it was on everybody's radar.
Okay.
It's like, oh, my kid has celiac disease. She was tested, she has celiac disease. Now we have to go on a gluten-free diet. And then...
how do people know that they have it before they get tested?
So for me... I started, so this is disgusting, but you get this very greasy diarrhea that you think is like gas, and then and it's bloating and swelling, and really lethargic, and it says so. I'm pretty sure I have celiac disease. I didn't get confirmed because you have to have an endoscopy, and I did not want to go through that.
And you were telling me you didn't have the insurance at the time.
I did not have the insurance. Yeah,
right.
I didn't have insurance.
So you started to diagnose yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I started looking at different, like what I would eat and what my reactions were. And so we started going through this thing. It's like, okay, well, what did I eat today? And then people were talking about it. They were talking about gluten, and they're like, one of my friends had gotten diagnosed with the Crohn's disease, and so she was like, you probably have. It sounds like you have a gluten sensitivity. And so that's the other thing, is that there's people with celiac disease, but then a lot of other people have like a sensitivity to it.
Okay.
And so that's when.
But it's not as heavy as the celiac. Right?
They're not 100% sure what it does. Like you get symptoms.
Okay.
And it'll upset your stomach, or you'll get head fog, or
you don't have the greasy diarrhea that you're speaking of. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that also that you don't have the damage to your gut. So the sensitivity isn't the same as the damage, and that damage can cause a leaky gut, and it causes cancer. It can cause a lot of different things, because what you're doing is when you get the leaky gut, food particles are going through your intestines into the bloodstream, and then it's
wow. Okay.
And so when I started realizing, okay, I think that I have this, and I started taking gluten out of my diet, I felt 1,000 times better. I mean, it was day and night. And
like, what did you feel?
I didn't have the brain fog.
Okay.
I had more energy, and it was very my inflammation started to get away. Like I always felt really swollen, really bloated, and the achy, and it just started to go away. I mean, it was like I was managing it. And then later came casein, when I realized it was dairy too.
Okay.
And then that improved things even more. And so a lot of children that are on the spectrum, the gluten casein diet-free diet actually seems to help some of them. Their symptoms get better. So there's something going on besides just the celiac disease. There's something with the gluten. Maybe it's the wheat, itself. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what, but when people do the diet, they feel better. The trick is that you have to do it with like lean proteins and whole foods, and not just replace all the gluten-free stuff with other gluten-free stuff, because that's not that much healthier.
No.
But when you want a pizza, it's nice to have, when you're feeling like that pizza and you don't want to have your healthy dinner, it's nice to have gluten-free options. And especially when I went back around and I realized, after going dairy-free for years too, that I could handle goat's milk. That was like game-changing. Because
so what makes goat milk different than just cow milk?
It's a different form of that protein casein. So it's in cow's milk. There's a amino acid that gets clipped, and it's digested different. And there's potential that little clipped piece causes inflammation. Now, we don't know, with all the gut microbes research they're doing, maybe it feeds one of the bugs and it does something. I mean, we're learning so much with all the gut bacteria. But casein too in goats and sheep's milk doesn't get clipped that way, and so people can digest it just fine. And when I started bringing it back into my diet, I was like, oh my God, I can eat this again.
How did you discover goat's milk?
I do a lot of research.
Okay.
Like I keep up with, I follow a lot of people on Twitter that, know the stuff. And so I do a lot of research trying to figure out.
Isn't it great how we are able to do research and help diagnose ourselves now more so than anything? Because I always think like they don't spend that much time with you and they're rushing you through, that it is very important that you have the correct questions that you want to ask. And now that we can get on the internet and do that research, we can be able to ask. And I've always thought they were smarter because they had this paper on the wall.
Right.
But we have to really
I mean,
that smart,
and,
sometimes,
and things, Well, and it depends too, like if they went to school 20 years ago and
Very
they were
true.
like dedicated and
Very
they keep
true.
up, or if they just got out of school and like they were real into like, everything that's going on and all the new research.
and exploring and really doing it. And but
Yeah.
it's still, there a lot of time they don't give them that time to really talk on a one-on-one patient.
I totally agree.
And they don't look for certain things, because before I used to always go to the doctor and go, let me see if they find what my problem is.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to the doctor and I'm like, let me tell them.
Test
what
me for this.
Right,
Yeah.
what my problem is. So we don't waste any time. And I think our insurance has allowed us to streamline that a little bit more, because everything costs
Yeah.
now. So it's
Yeah.
like, for us to be more educated, we have to go in and go, I want you to test me on this.
Exactly.
I want you to do that.
Well, especially if you don't have health insurance
Mm-hmm.
and you need to have a test done and you're going to pay for it out of pocket, you're not going to be like, hey, I want you to run like 10 tests on me. You're like, okay, I think this is what it is. Test me
Yes.
for this specifically. And, and I'll tell you too, a lot of my friends very recently have reached out to me and been like, my doctor suggested I go on a gluten-free diet because I have X, Y, and Z wrong with me. And they're like, well, just try the gluten-free diet and see if it works. Which is so crazy, right? So it's like trends too, It's not. It's like it's become okay for them to be like, well, see if the gluten-free works for you.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why. It's just that it's become enough mainstream that they can suggest it without it being weird.
I wonder, like for kids, like in school, when they're having those lunches, do they actually, are they focused a little bit more on kids that are being sensitive to dairy and different types of food? Are they actually working towards making that a better thing for them?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard because food is such like a uniter, but it also can be a divider, and
Very
you wonder.
true, yeah.
And there's a guy, the gluten dude, who is kind of aggressive on Twitter about bullying and treating. They still like have Disney. A Disney cartoon, and they're making fun of the kid with the celiac disease, and he gets really mad that they're projecting that type of hatred towards someone. So that's got to be difficult. I've seen the moms say that to take a bunch of your gluten-free cupcakes and store them in the freezer at the school, so when the kids all get the treats for the cupcakes, they can pull out a celiac, a gluten-free one for the kid that has a celiac disease. And so but it's got to be a huge difficulty,
Yeah, because you have to actually educate that teacher too.
Yes.
Because sometimes the teachers think, oh, well, you're a special kid, and I don't have time for special kids because I am also on a deadline of getting things
and
done. Overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And stuff. So,
well, and I have seen that this is kind of a cool thing, is that they have this called the Teal Project. And so if it's like at Halloween, if you have kids that have food allergies, you can put out a teal pumpkin, or they carry around a teal pumpkin so people have different candy for them or safe candy for them.
Oh, wow, I've never heard that.
Yeah, the celiac community is very, they're really organized in trying to protect the kids and help each other out and make sure, and then it gets frustrating too, because some people kind of co-opt the gluten-free thing, and they go to restaurants that aren't really safe, and they're like, oh, I'm gluten-free, but they're eating something that's cross-contaminated.
Right.
And so then it's like, no, you can't eat that. Don't eat that. Please don't eat that. If you have celiac disease, if you're just gluten-free, that doesn't matter, but...
That's a good thing, because I work in a restaurant, and how important do you think it is for us as servers and managers, and what that means, like that cross-contamination?
Okay, yeah, that's huge. So one of the places that I like to go to, one of the I think it's the chef and the manager has celiac disease, And so they've already been educated to what they have to go through. So they taught the staff. It's interesting because they're all very knowledgeable. Everybody's very knowledgeable about what to take off the menu. Like, if there's soy sauce in this one dressing and you can't put that on there, but you know, and they had Shinerbach tacos, but then they took the Shinerbach out because of that. And so they're really active in it. And I don't know, I've been to some places that, well, I'm very restricted now, so I try to stay to places that are really safe. I've seen of places that, you know, fry their chicken in the same grease as the regular chicken. And that's celiacs can't eat that. That's cross-contamination. That's a big thing, as you'll see with fried food. You need a dedicated fryer. That's a huge word in the celiac community. Is there a dedicated fryer that's just the gluten-free food?
Which is very rare in a restaurant.
Because it's expensive, right?
It's expensive. And also, too, for me as a server sometimes, I get people that come in and go, oh, I'm gluten-free because it's a trend.
Yeah.
And I try and work really hard at making sure, because I'm dyslexic, so I know that if I stay gluten-free and don't have that wheat, I stay balanced more than I've ever felt before. You know?
You know, actually, I am too, a little bit, and yes, it helps.
It makes a big difference.
It helps.
And I, too, did the research to find out why I was always seeing things differently and backwards and stuff, and why I had trouble in school, you know, because, I mean, when I was growing up, it wasn't those things. You were just either stupid or a slow learner.
No.
You know, you had these different labels,
Yeah.
and
but it's connected.
But it's all connected.
It's so,
you know?
yeah, it really is.
But once, like you said, what was it, 2010, or what did you mention, that it just started being a big thing, and then people come to restaurants and like, oh, I'm gluten free, and you work really hard at trying to make sure that they're taken care of, but then at the end they're like, oh, well, you know what, I think I'm gonna have dessert, and you're like, oh, well, it's not gluten free. I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm gonna treat myself because I was really good at that.
That is horrible. That makes me crazy. Yeah,
and that makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay,
because you just invested so much time in making sure that they were safe,
right? You know, so.
Yeah.
I think a lot of other servers don't educate themselves because they see people do things like that, and it really gives other people that bad name, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's why restaurants are not really investing in it, because they think it's this trend.
Well, you know, the ones that I've been to, so there's certain places that are just 100% gluten-free kitchen, and usually it is awesome, and they promote that, and it's usually because they use corn instead of any flour products, and you know. There are places where they know to ask whether you have celiac disease or not. And we go to the same restaurant pretty often because our server Jacob is awesome, and he knows I have celiac, and he's always taking care of us. And so it makes me want to go back. Can you
tell us where Jacob is at and what restaurant that is?
Yes, Jacob is at District Kitchen and Cocktails, and that's in Circle C.
In Austin, Texas.
In Austin, Texas, and he works in the bar area. And we absolutely love him. Like, we go back all the time. He knows our drinks. He knows, you know, like our frozen margs. And he really just, he makes sure I'm okay. Like, he's like, this is the new thing this is our new seasonal menu. We can change out, like, we ran out of this, but we can change this out. And, you know, if you want the ribs, well, this sauce on the shrimp and grits is gluten-free, so we can switch that for you. And, I mean, he just takes great care of us. I love him. And I've been to other places where like, do you have celiac disease or are you just gluten free? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I gotta be careful.
That is a great question. I've never asked anybody if they had celiac disease or are they gluten free.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, well, if you're just on a gluten free diet, it doesn't have to be so particular. We don't have to change the water when you cook the pasta. You don't have to, you know, it's not as serious. Now, you know, like I said, there's that gluten sensitivity thing, and it's like, you know, most people that are sensitive will say, yes, I have celiac. Treat me like I have celiac disease. You know, treat me like it's serious if I get contaminated. If you're just on a gluten-free diet and you're going to, you know, treat yourself to dessert and don't have to worry about it, you know.
So what other good restaurant? I know the restaurant you mentioned before is in Circle C,
Yeah.
which is south of Austin. But can you tell me one great place in the downtown area that people, when they come in town, would love to be able to go?
My favorite place is ATX Cocina. I absolutely love that place.
Yes,
I mean, if I had a little bit more money, we'd be eating there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But their happy hour is great. Reasonable. They have great happy hour.
You know.
And oh my God, the food is so good.
It is very, very good.
It is so good. And I love those corn tortillas. They're soft. Like corn tortillas are kind of, when you've had as many as I've had, kind of picky. And that masa is that heirloom masa, you know. It's the heirloom corn, and it's non-GMO, and it's just so good. Well, that property is beautiful, like that place, and it's right there on the lake. Yeah, but we try and every special occasion, you know, we're like, let's go there. You know, now when our friends came into town, we went for the happy hour. I was like, you have to try this place. It's fantastic. And everybody was like, oh, this is so fun. So it was good.
Thanks, Deana, for passing on some great information and telling us about 2 of your favorite restaurants here in Austin. You really nailed it when you said food is such a uniter, but it can also be a divider. With all the allergies and health problems people have now, we have to be very careful about cross-contaminating in restaurants and in our homes. Now, I've never heard about the Till Project. Have you? I like this idea of painting pumpkins a teal color and displaying them outside my front door. I like that this is a way to let parents and kids know that you are passing out non-food items instead of candy. What a great idea. I personally don't buy Halloween candy. I find it way too expensive. I post a flyer on my door every year that says there are no treats here. Now, I know that's bad, but I do. But I think next year I'm going to participate in the Till Project because I really like that. In the meantime, let's continue on with the interview. Deana is going to tell us about one of her best local grocery stores that she likes to shop at, and she's going to tell us about one of her favorite recipes that you can find on her blog. Take it away, Deana.
It's funny because we'll walk down the aisle at Wheatsville because we shop at the co-op.
Yes, just discovered that place.
It is the best.
I love it.
And they have so many gluten-free products. They have sales. They have owner deals.
Yes, and it's more reasonable.
Yes. Oh my God, it's amazing.
And they give you recipes, and they just,
yes.
It's like you walk into a place and think, yes, I can be healthy, and I can afford to be healthy.
It is amazing. Yes.
I love it.
Well, and they run specials all the time.
Okay.
No, they have co-op deals, and then they have owner deals.
Okay. Yes.
We are owners, but it's you know, Labor Day weekend, they have all the meats on sale 20% off, which is the co-op deal. Mm-hmm. Then we stock up. We buy all the meat that we want, 20% off, and then we freeze it. Right. I can plan the menu based on what I bought, you know, at the co-op the week before.
Okay.
And what I know I have. And they do every season. They have, like, every holiday and season, they have something on sale, 20% off to help you out. It's like a gem. When we found it, we were just like, oh my God. Like, so many, and local products. So you'll love this.
Yes.
They have so many local products made around here, close here. Mm-hmm. They'll promote it. They're like, this is, you know, an Austin item. This is from a local person. We just got these on the shelves. And they pay their workers well. Like I said, we're kind of creatures of habit, and so we always go through Kevin, and he always checks us out. He's like, "Hey, y'all," you know, and they're super friendly, and they recognize you when you're there.
Wait a minute, you got a checkout person that you know the name?
Yeah, Kevin, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Is that at the South Lamar?
Yes, South Lamar.
Okay.
Yeah, he works because we usually go on Friday nights, and he usually works Friday nights, and so he's super chatty and super fun, and they you know, say hi to us when we go in there. They're so nice. And they have so many things I mean, when I found that Capella's pizza with the sheep's milk. It was gluten-free and it had sheep's milk cheese. I almost had a heart attack. It was expensive, but when you haven't had a real pizza in a long time, it's kind of worth it. But then they put it on sale. So then instead of it was like $9.99 for, a couple of weeks. And so I stocked up on those, It's like...
I love it,
I couldn't say more wonderful things about the Wheatsville. I love them so much.
Oh, and I'm going to go visit Kevin.
Yes, Kevin, Friday night, a beard, tall, skinny guy with a beard. He's so nice.
I like it.
So we found this awesome goat's milk yogurt that's kind of a little bit sour. So it almost tastes like buttermilk. And a little ranch mix. And we put it in the yogurt, and we have a healthy ranch dressing.
Is this on your
It's
blog?
on the blog.
Ooh,
It's a fried chicken salad. So it's like Whataburger used to, or they probably still do, sell this salad with fried chicken and ranch
they still
dressing.
do.
It's like one of my favorite things to eat, right? So now we make the chicken with the gluten-free flour. We fry it in the coconut and the olive oil. And so it's a little bit healthier, and I can eat it. And then we make this ranch yogurt dressing. And it's like eating ranch, but you're getting a probiotic that's good for your gut.
Oh, I love that.
It's so much healthier for you.
Okay.
It's oh my God, yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and so now we can eat. It's like eating ranch. And so when we do our healthy twice baked potatoes, we'll do a little yogurt with a little ranch dip, and it's like you're getting that same comfort food, but you're actually eating better for you.
Yeah.
And that goat's milk yogurt, we've been using it in everything. Like it substitutes for buttermilk so well. I mean, yeah, it's awesome.
So when is your next cookbook coming out? Or
I don't know. I was just telling Brett, I was like, I should probably start working on another one with all the stuff that we've learned. Like, because I wrote those so long ago, and I was just focusing on, like clean eating, but gluten free, and then I need to write another one with all of this, with all the recipes and the fun stuff with using the yogurt and the substitutes and what flours I like best. And I have Chrissy Teigen's first cookbook, and that she had a recipe for John's like hot wings, and I don't know why I'd never thought of this before, but they brine the chicken in seasoned salt and water before making them. And so we started brining chicken tenders, and I make my own seasoned salt instead of using the Lowry's.
Oh, awesome.
I make my own little I buy all these spices in bulk at Wheatsville, and then we make all kinds of spice blends. I'll show you my cabinet over there. But and so we started, because of her recipe, it is so good. It's like it's seasoned, and then you fry it, and it is like the best chicken tender I think I've ever had. And we use oat flour, which is slightly higher in fiber. Or we use a bean blend from Bob's Red Mill that's made with a bunch of different kinds of flours, but it's gluten-free. But there's the beans in there, so it's a little bit healthier than just white flour.
Awesome.
Just a little, it's like little baby steps to make it just a little bit better for you. And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, this isn't bad. He's happy. So,
what are maybe one or two tips that you can give to people that their partner is not having those type of problems, but want to go out and have a good meal?
It's okay, as long as you're not going to make out right after the meal, it's okay for you to eat gluten, Brett eats it all the time. He gets a burger, he's fine, it's like you're going to make out, make sure to brush your teeth, cross-contamination, or don't, I can't pick off his plate.
Right.
So if there's gluten on his plate or something that I can't eat, don't touch his food.
Just don't touch it. Now, if you're driving, jogging, or walking while listening to this show, I want to thank you. And if you want to know more about what was covered in the interview, you can actually go back and look under episode 6 for information and links to everything. I'm getting really good at my show notes, so definitely check them out. Now, I want to thank Deana for that delicious meal, and thank you for sharing your passion and your knowledge with me. I do believe that when we share, we grow stronger together. So on that note, I asked her to share one last thing that I can use, and maybe you can use it too. Can you guess what it is? No? Not even a little bit? Okay, well, let's just listen in.
Okay, so tell me, what is one of your favorite apps that you like to use that will be beneficial for other people to use?
Okay, so Find Me Gluten-Free is an awesome app, and it pulls up all kinds of gluten-free restaurants in your area. And then they have like ones that are dedicated gluten-free, like so it's 100% safe for people with celiac, and then they have gluten-free friendly, and you can sort it out. It's a really good resource, especially if you're traveling. So if you're not local and you haven't picked out your favorite places yet, and you don't want to go eat at the PF Chang's, you can find places around you because it has a locator. And so you can find places around you that are safe to try out. And people rate places too, so that's also helpful. So.
Ooh, this sounds like a pretty good app. Now, I just downloaded the gluten-free app from iTunes, and I'll be using this app all month, and I'll give a review on it next month. But listen, don't wait for me. Get the app and use it, and then shoot me an email or put your comment in the iTunes review section under ratings and review, and that way you can actually share your opinion about the app with everyone who's listening to this show. It would be great if we get a few opinions about how well this app works. Now, next month, I'll be interviewing the Book and Beer Club. Now, each member picked a recipe from their favorite cookbook and prepared a meal, and then we all met at a local brewery for cold beer and storytelling time. So I am working on that show now, and I'll have that ready for you to hear in January. Well, thank you for spending your time with me, and I hope you enjoyed the interview. Deana gave a lot of great tips. You can always find Deana at the weeklymenubook.com, or you can also check her out on Instagram. And do me a favor, if you like what you hear, please tell someone, and also give me a review. I would like to know what you think about the show, because it only helps me to continue to improve. So, until then, I guess I'll be chatting with you in January. Bye-bye.
Connect with me through Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Eatin and Sippin Locally. Love to see what you're posting and who you're following. And if you'd like to come on the show, check out my webpage at Eatin and Sippin, that's EATIN, and Sipping, SIPPIN, locally.com. Subscribe to the show on Apple iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, or wherever you download your podcast show at. And if you do download me, please rate the show and leave me a comment, because I like to know what you're thinking. Well, until we meet again, keep it local.